trying to break that. Ni kama oil. Very good example now ya oil. Hii mafuta, what do you call this? OPEC. The oil producing countries. Saa hii ukianza kutengeneza, let me give you a very good example ya Dangote. I was listening to Dangote the other day. Dangote has begun an oil refinery in Nigeria. 3 trillion amejenga. But you know, function imeanza kuleta shida. Because, in fact, the other day he was saying, he has realized that the mineral and oil cartel is bigger than drugs.
So minus capitalism, minus cartelism, oil could be mined in Turkana,
yes,
and refined in Changamwe.
Exactly. Now,
but that will not happen
with those two things again.
Wadau, najua hata nyinyi mnajua when it comes to good vibes, hatuwezi waangusha.
If we try to trace
evil,
hata hii maji hawezi kunywa because hujui ilitoka wapi, kwa sababu pengine ule mtu
is a devil worshipper.
Is a devil worshipper. Hata hii nguo nimevaa haijatengenezwa na Mkristo. Yes, even the cars. Japan is not Christian.
Ai.
It's true.
Sasa ndio hiyo sasa.
Japan is not Christian. There's no revival in Japan. But 3/4 of the cars in Kenya are Japanese.
Our guest for this episode, Bishop Dr. Luke Mwangi, is a seasoned preacher. Should the church question where money is coming from, or as long as money has come, it's okay? That's why I ask, is there good money and bad money?
If we look at doctrine-wise, as we circulate the offering bag in the church, there is no time we ask for somebody hiyo tano lito wapi, na pengine hata hiyo tano waliiba. Bona
asitoe, which is a good point. Yeah. Bona asitoe 20 million kama vile huyu ametoa shilingi moja
quietly.
Yes. An architect, and as you're about to find out, Mr. Good Vibes. One of my favorite haters on Twitter.
Yeah.
Anaitwa Fels One, ama Jaloka.
Yeah.
He said something.
Yeah.
That the way the Pope is holding on to his dear life, kwani how bad is heaven? Already ushaona mahali story inaenda. I'm your host Dr. Kingori, and here's another reason to stay subscribed to our channel. Kama hauja subscribe, this right here is another good reason to hit subscribe, alafu turn on the notifications bell. Kama umependa location yetu, set yetu vile anakaa kama inakubamba, this is Wojo Africa. Wojo is a premium co-working space, na kama uko familiar na co-working concept, you need to look no further than Wojo. Unatafuta ofisi, ama unatafuta either short term leases ya a place yenye unaweza fanya job, ama long term walk-in, uko na mkutano yako ya respect, alafu unahitaji anything that comes with an office. Wojo has done that for you at very, very affordable rates, commensurate to the deal that una get. The contact details on how to get in touch with Wojo ndio hizi tumewekea hapa kwa screen. Bishop, asante sana for making time for us.
Thank you so much for the honor. I've always liked your program. I've been following you for a long time.
Thank you, sir.
One of the things I like is the content and the humor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is high praise.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I've actually quoted you recently in one of the previous episodes tumefanya.
Yeah.
You know, I sit down, I get to pick a lot of valuable information that I believe our audience could enjoy.
Yes.
I trust will enjoy.
Yeah.
Kama there's a concept to introduce me to, there's a difference between wealth circulation and wealth creation.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Please break it down for us.
Yes. In business or entrepreneurship, there are only two sectors. You can either be producing in product or services.
Yes.
Now, in product and production, that is where wealth creation is. In the country of Kenya or any other nation, mining is part of it. That is where most of the countries like Saudi Arabia and other oil countries, South Africa, utakuta, especially mining becomes a wealth creation. It began from Genesis when God created the world and he told Adam to till and to take care of it. What was there? There was a river, there was the vegetation. He was supposed to take care of the garden. So ukiangalia, if you check, you see there is agriculture, part of it. Mining is part of it. At a blue economy, because you are actually harvesting from what God has given. Then there is also livestock. Like when the children of Israel went to the promised land, waliambiwa, I'm taking you to a land that is flowing with milk and honey. The milk and honey was not coming from heaven. They were given lands with the various strengths. In Deuteronomy chapter 8 waliambiwa, I'm giving you a land where you shall dig copper and whose land will give you iron. So they were supposed to create wealth through minerals. Then agriculture. That is why you see Israel today as a nation is very strong economically because of agriculture. It's like a wealth creation. Now, there is also direct investment. Like when I did this book on Kenya, the Kenya Dreamland Tour and Invest, we were promoting investors to come to Kenya because the direct foreign investment is part of wealth creation and then tourism. But now the service industries are also part of it, but once the wealth is created from these pillars, the major pillars, it is again circulated with the service industries. Like for instance, media, talents, promotion, telecommunication, even servicing of petrol stations. But there are some sectors that have both. Kama petroleum, kuna production na kuna marketing. Sales and marketing, PR, all these other services, legal services, insurances, these are services now. That is why in entrepreneurship, you are either selling a service or a product. Now in a country, that is the same focus. We are either dealing with a product, even manufacturing is also part of production. Because you are innovating, whether you are going to be revising or rebranding a certain product, you are also in the production. So manufacturing is also part of it. That is why in any country, if they don't touch the main pillars of wealth creation, then the wealth circulation itafika mahali iwe exhausted. Na ndio nasikianga uchumi imeanza kuenda chini. Because the wealth is not created. There are there are pillars that create wealth. Look at America. America began becoming great through akina Rockefeller, through the industrialization ya mafuta, the discovery of oil, the Standard Oil Group, which now split. That is when now the America became great with the oil.
Before that, they were a poor nation.
Of course, they were they were in agriculture, but you cannot say they were really poor, but they were not as strong. If you look at the revolution of the economy of America, it began when Rockefeller, they started discovering oil and also gold. There was also a gold rush. From there, it triggered so many things. It triggered housing. It triggered the banking, Akina JP Morgan. That is how it went. It ended in that level. Even China today. China has become great. It's the world's factory. Actually, China is called world factory. I've been there twice. And if you go to China now, you realize they are very strong in agriculture. By the way, people think China is not strong in agriculture. It's very strong in agriculture and is also very strong in production. Furniture city, lighting city, electronics market. And that is what now has made China to look at competitor even to the nations of Europe. Because everybody is going there to buy their things and rebranding them. That is now why China has become strong, because they are creating wealth. And that is why every place in Africa where there are minerals, and even in Europe, you will find the Chinese government has interest. Because without that wealth creation, your wealth circulation itafika mahali watu wakule ile iko na inaishia hapo, ama it doesn't have the kind of impact to impact an economy. I have done this book on Kenya. I've also done several books on business. I was also an entrepreneurship lecturer, apart from being a pastor. That is why I have more details about the economies of the world. Okay. And even Kenya. I've studied a lot about Kenya when I was doing this program. I met manufacturers. I went to the hotels. I visited the various sectors, the flower farms in Naivasha. I visited zile ziko kule Timau. And coffee now. You see now coffee, like now Kenya, we have coffee. That is wealth creation. Our tea. You are creating wealth through agriculture. The livestock. You know, many people in the promised land, it was flowing with the milk and honey. People think there was a river. But actually they needed to know how to take care of cows. They also needed to know how to take care of bees because the honey was in the bees. And that is why when the children of Israel entered the promised land, the manna ceased immediately. Huko mbeleni walikuwa wanafidiwa na quails, wanakula mpaka inatoka kwa mapua. But when they reached the promised land and the 12 tribes were given their places, some tribes were given Jericho, which is a business city. Others were given mining sections. Others were given farming. Now, that is how God expects us to live now, through wealth creation. Then now the service industries, which are very many, they come now to help to support livelihood. They support the livelihood. Because that is now how, even now, housing. Housing is part of it because you are offering a service. Of course, the service also triggers the production because through housing, you trigger production of cement. You trigger mining of blocks. You trigger also sand production. You trigger the iron ore mining for steel. So it's a chain.
Okay.
So the economy is a chain.
Okay.
Inakuanga ni chain because you have the people, you have government, which gives you the facilitation, and we have now the infrastructure, which is the banking sector,
okay,
which now supports the three.
You say, thank you for that candid explanation.
Yeah.
But now, I think that's one version of the explanation you gave.
Yes.
But also my head remembers,
yes,
or my mind remembers, you explaining a concept to me, why it seems like new buildings are coming up all over kila mahali,
yes,
and people are talking about no money, like hakuna pesa.
Yes.
So it means that money is circulating amongst a clique of people, but there is no path to it getting to
the people who are supposed to
the livelihood.
Yes.
Yes.
So what it is, you see, like now the real estate market is moved by, first of all, the financial institutions, kama banking. It is also moved by old money. Old money means there are people who began real estate a long time. They are still building new. They are even here, because I've done my own research because of a mega project coming. I've been checking the contractors who are here in Kilimani, for instance. Even here in Upper Hill, you find the one who is doing this one. They just finished this one and they went to this one. Unakuta is one group of people who have been doing projects for a long time. Now, different from that group, you find their money because of the generations and the old money, old money, they have the capacity. Now, when the economy is not triggered on wealth creation, and also the service industry as well, and then of course there are no corruption and there is an environment for investors to come and the tourism, all those things trigger together. It reaches a level where the common mwananchi doesn't have the capacity. And again, the government, which is the biggest procurement agent of the nation, who are supposed to be paying, they don't have taxes, or because of corruption it is taken. Then now, unakuta, there is no wealth circulation. Because, like now, you hear in this country, government owes suppliers, they were saying 700, around over 700 billion. They were saying that the other day. Sasa hiyo pesa ingekuwa imelipwa tena, ingekuwa imetrika watu. Na watu kwa sababu there's wealth creation kutoka chini. Inatokanga both sides. There is a top down trickle and bottom up. It is supposed to go that way. The government is supposed to be circulating the money. That is why whenever there is a challenge in an economy, you hear something called a stimulus plan. You heard stimulus. Mm. If you saw what happened to America when there was a problem of real estate, you bust real estate.
2008, yes.
Yes, what did they do? I think Obama was part of it that time. They started empowering banks and also giving stimulus money. So that ifike chini, huku government inatriko chini, and also watu sasa wanapatia the people who are able to empower or circulate money and create wealth. Now, if you look at China, there are some cities that are empty. But shortly, they will be occupied. What happened? There was overproduction of construction. Again, the economy was affected by COVID and all these things. That is now where the gap we were discussing the other day, where we have cities that are not occupied. Because the current pace of the government to support contractors was very high through Exim Bank and the Bank of China. But again, the production that time was affected for 2 years. So that is the gap people are experiencing now, even in China. But shortly, if you look at, like I was actually looking at it the other day, they have started occupying some of the cities. Na serikali inaanza kununua and also making sure that they can resettle the people in those companies and helping the companies that have gone down because they have an asset to hold on to. So that is now where the challenge is in anything overproduction. Now, the other thing that also happened, they produce so many products and the COVID now, that time, people are not buying a lot as they were buying furniture. So your period, 3 years, is what we are feeling even today. Now again, captured with the issue of the wars that are going on, which now is affecting fuel production. So when you intertwine them, that is where the global economy is experiencing a shakeup. Apart from, of course, individual nations experiencing what we call mismanagement, which is corruption, people fear. Like now you have heard in Kenya, unfortunately, there are some companies that are pulled out because by the time they are going to register businesses, by the time they get a premise, everywhere kuna mtu anaongojea kitu. So that has again affected the nation. But if we keep everything constant, especially the nation of Kenya, we have a very big, actually this book was promoting tourism, and this Kenya Dreamland Tour and Invest. I was just watching yesterday, they were saying they want to hit 3 million target. But you know, like Egypt imefika karibu 10 million. Egypt hata ina mafuta mingi, hata ina mafuta. They actually hold on the issue of tourism. And you know, they are building a whole city, a whole Alexandria city, which is, I think, almost 10 trillion or something. A new city. So Egypt is strong with that, with tourism. So that's what I was saying now. Every nation needs to identify their strength because every nation is built on a certain strength of wealth creation. And then you stimulate the services and you create an environment where people are not running away to keep it circulating.
Okay.
So that is the connection about even the empty cities, what we are discussing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in your research, especially even while putting together your book, the Kenyan Dreamland Tour,
yes,
and Investment Edition.
Yeah.
How wealthy is Kenya as a nation?
Of course, Kenya is ranging in Africa. I think we've been ranging between 10 to 12 for this position in Africa. Yes. Okay. Yeah, Kenya is not very badly off. Kenya's economy has been stabilized by several things, especially our coffee. That is why we have a challenge right now, because I was with somebody the other day who is actually in the board of marketing of coffee. When there was this change of trying to change the marketing system, it affected the coffee people and the tea people, because these two things are marketed by old, not cartels really, but old players who have dominated the market, whose goodwill and capital goodwill is what flows the product. So when people started saying, wacha tuende tukatafute a new market in Germany, unakuta you can have your coffee there and nobody is buying it. Now Kenya has been affected by those two things. Let's face it. Because
you can have your coffee in Germany, but no one is buying it?
Unless the what we can call the small entrepreneurs. Kuna ile ya kununua ile the big brokerage. Like we have the Kenya Tea Development. I used to live in Mombasa 7
How does the system work? Please break it down for us.
Okay, so we have the old system was having brokers, certain people who are not really, we can call them brokers. People who have specialized in the system. Let me give you a very good example to bring it down. Ni kama kuna mtu akona Kware na kuna watu wakona yadi wanajulikana mahali ambapo mchanga ikiletwa, huyu mtu ukitaka kujenga nyumba, huyu ndio naenda kwake. And some people don't know the Kware where it is. They don't know where the Kware is ya sand. So these groups have regrouped themselves internationally, especially with tea, international tea, and also even gold and even diamonds. Like the biggest diamond, because I've done a lot of research in mining because of our project that is coming. The biggest diamond market is in Tel Aviv and New York. Ya maua iko Netherlands. So you find people have segmented themselves according to speciality and goodwill. Trying to break that, ni kama oil. Very good example now ya oil. Hii mafuta, what do you call this? OPEC. The oil producing countries. Saa hii, ukianza kutengeneza, let me give you a very good example ya Dangote. I was listening to Dangote the other day. Dangote has begun a oil refinery in Nigeria. 3 trillion amejenga. But you know, function imeanza kuleta shida. Because, in fact, the other day he was saying, he has realized that the mineral and oil cartel is bigger than drugs. Because for him to sell is a problem. Because the producers of oil for a long time had already connected themselves with global markets. So if you don't come in and fit in, you float for a time. Now Kenya, to be very frank, check. The tea, that story of the tea, because I followed it, and the other day I had somebody in Serena who was asking me to help them to link up with another friend of mine in Germany, and we had a meeting actually, because he was saying when some of these people walipigiwa nduru kama cartels, some of them said, okay, mutajua mahali mutapeleka. Do you know where Kenya's coffee is kuna competition? We are competing with Ethiopia. We are competing with Uganda. We are competing with other countries with coffee. So the moment those boards, hata hapa sasa kuna kuanga na ile the tea marketing board in Mombasa, whatever, even in Nairobi. So those are the groups that do the marketing. They give a service to the production. So Kenya, why you have asked me a question about Kenya's, where do we stand? Kenya has a lot of potential, a lot. It's one country that has everything together. If you look at Israel, because I've also been to Israel, the strength of Israel, basically, ni hiyo farming, na si kila mahali, in those kibbutzes too. Kibbutzes too, the one that was attacked, those are kibbutz, I think they are 30 or something. So the way people do farming together, and they grow things together. Israel doesn't have minerals. Kenya saa hii ndio we are beginning the issue of minerals. We have done a geo-survey in coast because of this project that is coming, and we engaged a UK firm that the kind of minerals that are on the ground here in Kenya, in certain regions, of course, like Taita, Mombasa, we also supplied some iron ore to Bamburi, Turkana area, northeastern. God has given an inheritance for every land. Hata mahali unaona kumekauka, kuna kitu.
So this means what you're saying is, however rich you are,
yes,
if you decided to follow production, I want to have my own coffee farm,
yes,
you're going nowhere.
By the way, that is another. Now, just the other day, my uncle had started setting up a coffee spinning factory in Kirinyaga, Kiamutogo. And I've been involved even in the harvesting there. The other day now, one time now I was asking him, just before he slept last year, I was asking him, what is really the problem? Because you started a factory here and you actually closed it. Literally. He said, he noted that the marketing networks, let me not call them cartels, because not everywhere is a cartel, is networks, do not favor such. Because there are certain bureaucracies which have been instituted by the government, which are, some of them are for good. Others now have also been hijacked by people. Others are also for good because there are some people whose strength is marketing. And if you don't now enter into that, your tea, at a cotton, that is how, if you look at how cotton also faded in the country, hata hii ya pyrethrum, hii ambayo ina mambo ya pyrethrum saa hii, it is also being affected by the same. Again, of course, the same people are supposed to be managing between imports and exports. What is coming in, what is now we are dealing with this week. It is yesterday, wheat. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of wheat in Narok. which was there for a long time. It has taken, I think, the politicians to trigger the whole thing, that yesterday the Minister for Agriculture declared that this week, all the sacks that were in the warehouses zinunuliwe. Now, if you are not in that platform, unaweza kujikuta uko na kitu na hujui utapeleka wapi. The same thing even with mining. There are certain people who are gold dealers. Like if you go to Dubai, the price of gold in Dubai, India, is very high. If you go to, like now, diamonds, you go to Tel Aviv ama New York, utakuwa huko ndiko. Hata gemstones zile tuko nazo hapa. There's a stone in Taita that I think was sold for by a man called Bridges. I have actually quoted him in the mining document I sent you. It used to be here in Taita, but when it went to the New York, I think it was quoted, I think, about several hundreds of billions those years. And it was just a stone here. But when it went to the right market, inapata value. Yesterday I was looking at a joke about a man who had an old Volkswagen. Akapea mtoto wake akamwambia, iko kwa internet hata ili dusted. Akamwambia, go and look for the market of that car. When he went to the garages, aliambiwa hii hatuwezi tengeneza, tutaivunja tuuze machuma. Sijui alipewa price ya I think like 100,000 or 200. Now akapeleka kwa yard ya gari, akaambiwa hiyo hatuwezi, we don't even have a place for it. But when he took it to the old the people who deal with the old vehicles, wanaitangwa classics yard, the same car fetched 10-20 million, because it depends on where. Ni kama arts. Even this there are some cities, I think Switzerland niliona juzi, is a city for arts. These drawings you are seeing, like this one, unakuta moja portrait, that is what they keep money with, portraits. Ukipeleka hapo hizi unaona za Maasai hapa zifike huko. It's a different language. It's just like even our Maasai here, they produce carvings huko. Zikiwa huko chini hakuna mtu anaona kitu. Lakini mzungu akija aone hiyo simba hivi, they tag a very good price. So that's what I was saying. You can have a product, but you must also know who is your buyer and where value is and where the marketing platform is. Even hotels, there are some hotels that are in Kenya here, cottages, Masai Mara. Zikija zishikane na franchise hotels zingine, the value goes very up because there are some people now who see the value for that. So everything you are doing, even that same tea, let's look at the tea now, the tea and coffee. Tea hapa inatokanga hapa, inaenda inatengeneza Nescafe, tunarudishiwa with a very high price. Yesterday the governor of, I think, Trans Nzoia was talking about sugar. Anasema hii lori tunalipangwa sijui 5,000 lori moja,
a whole
truck, lakini sukari kilo moja. When it is now refined back. Actually yesterday in the news, I watched that in the news. So I think everybody who is in the production, you must understand where. Let's look at even avocado. Now there's a hit now right now in Kenya for avocado na macadamia. Ndio sasa inakuzwa sana huko, even in Mount Kenya and other regions. Now where did the market come? Bereni mlikuwa unapeana, actually tulikuwa tunaita manori ya gui. Yani ilikikuwa nasema yani unashibisha umbwa nayo. Because everybody, avocado, ilikuwa after you finish what you are taking now at the home, there's nothing. When the Chinese came, they have started bringing production plants and value additions. Ingine ya preservation, hata ya kupreserve tu inasagwa kwa unga. Hata maembe kule, I saw one in Mombasa. Factory ya Mombasa ilibadilisha the market of maembe, because now vile inaozanga yote inakuja mahali pamoja. This company has a way of preserving it in dust, in crushing it, inakuwa powder. So you see, that's why I also like this issue of the government with industrial parks. That is actually what has changed China. Unakuta, and even the cottage industries in India, unakuta kila mtu akona segment ya kuproduce kitu fulani with value addition. Otherwise, if the things that we are going to use zinaisha, alafu macadamia, by the way, siku hizi inakuliwa ya ndani. Juzi niliona wengine Chinese very big, unaona ngozi ya juu ndio inasikia kwa kuwa furniture. Hii furniture sasa unaona siku hizi very smooth.
The macadamia.
Yes, the cover inakrashiwa, unaona hiyo brown. Badala ya timber sasa inakuja inashikanishwa inakuwa furniture. Very expensive furniture. Si unaona furniture nyingine unaangalia ukiona si timber
but very soft.
Very soft. Ndio hiyo. So you see, that is now what the country should begin. And that is why innovation and industrialization should go together.
But when you say these things are readily available, a stone that was just lying around in Taita becomes hundreds of millions of dollars in New York.
Yes.
These are things that are available. Gold, you say, you could have coffee, but it will go get refined, get sold back to us as Nescafe.
Yes.
The same example as sugar.
Yes.
Would you now, would it be accurate if I submit that capitalism is basically a concept of creating artificial scarcity to increase value? Because these things have them.
Yeah.
So it's just a game. Can we say it's just a game?
Both a game and entrepreneurship. Why am I saying that? You see OPEC. Let's look at OPEC. Yeah, the producers of oil. Do you know, have you heard they regulate the production of oil in the country?
They regulate the production of oil.
Sindio.
So let's say, for example,
ikianza kuwa mingi, utasikia wamesema, actually last week they say that they should be boosted because Russia imegongwa, some of their plants, Russian plants, which is very strong, zimegongwa na Ukraine. Na kuna ile gas ambayo inashikanisha Germany na Russia. It has also been distorted.
Let me make sure I'm getting you correctly.
Yes.
Regulating.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Kenya, oil was discovered in Turkana.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So we can authoritatively almost say that that there's oil in Turkana.
Yes, there is.
We used to have an oil refinery in Changamwe.
Yes.
So minus capitalism, minus cartelism, oil could be mined in Turkana.
Yes.
And refined in Changamwe.
Exactly. Now,
but that will not happen
with those two things again. Because there are people with interests. That's another thing now. Inaitangwa interest. Actually, most of the things now again, that is why you must have a country that is breathing free from corruption for things to happen. Because there are some industries that will be killed intentionally by certain people who are enjoying certain chains of supply. And they make sure that that thing does not work. Now, even globally, nimekuambia mafuta, there is a time OPEC, we will tell Saudi Arabia, ongezeni production yenu.
So
Iko. Si hata America zulisikia, Trump was elected on what? Dig baby deal, drill baby deal, drill. America has the biggest reserves of oil. But the governments that were there before entered into this matter of global warming. That's what Trump was telling. I watched Trump and Trump interview and India. No, Japan. Japan wanted to buy oil from America. Just the other day, the Prime Minister of Japan was in America 2 weeks ago. Akamuuliza, why, when we asked for gas and petroleum, why didn't you supply? Akasema, of course you understand the markets. So Trump laughed and said, those markets, we understand them, but we are going to, it is now drill, baby drill. So he's saying, he understands that roof. Lakini they are going to break it so that they can be able to produce according to their capacity. So it's a very interesting world.
So this basically confirms that some people are resigned to this thing we call old money.
Yes.
It is for the people that access old money kitambo.
Yes.
Old money will keep being old money.
Yes.
The rest of the population will play under the ceiling.
They'll plug in somehow. There'll be residues falling from the table.
But no access to big money.
No, they can't. They can't, because there are some people who have come up with innovation and they have broken that ceiling. Okay. Like Elon Musk. See, Elon Musk was in South Africa. So he never went through the old money system. He came through innovation. His innovation here, Tesla, has now brought everybody, that even the people with old money are investing in Tesla. You see, now that's where we can't say that only the old people should thrive. That even if you didn't have a house, you should remain without. Or even if your father never left you anything, you still have room. It's only that old money people have got an easy landing path and take off. Because at least if you had a farm, if your parents left you a very big farm of coffee, like another person I know, 600 acres, it's not the same as somebody who is now coming to the city to begin to work somewhere and then to go and buy land and begin now that cycle. But they still make it. Because even in this country, we have had new brand of new billionaires. People who are coming up in innovation. It's only that they go through a lot of pain, because you are a pay setter. Become a bulldozer. You know, in construction, kuna kuanga na ile bulldozer, hiyo ndio inatoanga mawe ile kubwa. So for you now to create a new way for your family or your life, you have to go extra strength, because there are not things that were given easily. Kama hata sisi makanisa ya Pentecostal, tulikuwa tunaongea juzi na another pastor. Nasema there are some great churches that were very privileged, and we were saying, I wish you were there those years where land was being allocated easily. So now who are coming, we must work hard, because the same land is there, you still can buy, but you must go through an extra mile. Either by a great revival or great wealth creation, then you can buy the same land. So we cannot say that the people of old money will keep ruling. But however, you find, even in the world, still find, it's very interesting. There is a channel called Old Money. I have subscribed to it. It's very interesting. You find companies that have been there for 100 years. They have regenerated, and you find the same people are the same people now, like Standard Oil, ile Rockefeller. Ilikuja ikasplitiwa to ESO nini, karibu 17 of them. But they are still paying revenue backward. There was an issue of breaking that company because of monopoly. But still, so even if you trace, for instance, ESO, ukizunguka utakuta Rockefeller yuko huko mwisho. That is why you still hear some people saying there are some families that rule the world because of the same concept. Which, even in spiritualism, tunakuanga na Baba Abraham. He was the father of faith. So we cannot say we are disadvantaged. People must come from somewhere. And we must all relate to a certain origin.
The reason why I'm tempted to stand by the concept of artificial, what do we call it? Artificial demand and artificial value, right?
Yes.
Is because when you look at the world now in terms of resources, then it means there is enough for everybody.
Yes.
To live freely, there is enough for everybody to live happily.
Yes.
But this system has to exist so that others can have more than others. Because
of course. I think what I would say, there must be leadership, even in business world. Just like not everybody can become a president of Kenya. There is only one president at a particular time. It doesn't matter how many politicians we have because of policy. Now the world, even heavenly wise, there was order even with angels. Unakuanga na hiyo hierarchy. So even in business world, there is leadership. And that leadership is important. However, if the people who are in leadership misuse it, they can end up oppressing people. Na kugonga wale wanainuka. Si ni kama hata politics, Kuna mtu ambaye who is going to lead, and we have no problem with the people who are coming up. For instance, one of the presidents that was very famous with that was Kibaki. He came up in a way that he gave people a lot of leadership. Everybody talks about his reign, simply because it raised so many leaders and he had no threat to anybody. But in the business world also, there are people now who feel threatened by things, people who are coming up. And sometimes those threats are real because other things can face you out completely. We were just discussing the other day, kuhusu kamera. Old times, tulikuwa tunatafutiwa Fuji, picha imeoshwa, imechomeka. Those companies, some of them, those that never revived themselves, they are no more. Actually, now they are coming back. They are using the same factories to start now coming up with other things now.
Yes.
But actually, the whole business model faded. It was no longer valid. And so even in a Christianity, we have the power of creativity. That's why I was sharing. One of the things I've been teaching, because I'm a pastor, a trainer in business, and I'm also now working to enter into a few other businesses. The most of the thing nimefanya ni publishing for now, but we are about to enter into other big things. But I've realized something. When it comes to creativity, kama hii ya Jacob, he was able to crossbreed. So the pillars, maybe another time when we come, we can now share about generation of business ideas. Because most of the people get stuck because you think the old money has taken over, I have no room. But there are over 40 ways of entering into business: creativity, innovation, rebranding the old thing, discovering natural resources, activation of knowledge, information. Now that is where also we need to understand, because somebody like I've given you, like Elon Musk, he never came through well. He never came through old money. He was not in the royal family of anybody, but he is the richest man in the world. He is worth 40 trillion Kenya shillings. So, and he has come through. I came from South Africa, went to, I think, Canada, then now to America. And when he landed there, he entered into technology. So it depends, I think, on what the space and the platform you choose to thrive and to understand it. There are people who have made it with coffee, especially the old time. There are people I know, somebody bought a farm of 600 acres, which is in Runda, next to Runda, a certain family. And that mzee told me that they never corrupted anybody. They bought the land when the government, wakati Maumau walikuwa naondoka, wazungu. The UK government funded Central Bank for people to buy land. So he was in a position of being a lawyer. So he took a loan. Then the first harvest ya hiyo coffee, Brazil ikaleta shida, he was able to pay the one harvest. Now he's sitting in a land that is worth billions next to Runda. But somebody may think there is old money or alikula. Sometimes also those judgments are not very genuine.
Yes.
Yeah, you brush somebody, you think, alikula. But you need also to understand history of certain old money traces.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, there's commanded blessings, supernatural blessings in the faith.
We can get to that, but before that,
Yeah.
in fact, as we transition to the supernatural aspects of money,
Yes.
which is a topic we've talked about before, but I'll be curious to listen to a perspective of someone who knows the principles of money in the world and
the church.
The church. What's the difference between good money and bad money? If someone steals and gives tithe, can you bless the 90%?
Yeah, pastors, we have had a lot of problem with that. Even, can I also, I've been doing business seminars in the country for a long time. Actually, I began doing business seminars because I was a lecturer in entrepreneurship. I was also under International Labour Organization. So immediately I entered into pastoral work, I noted there is a need of training. Because most of the believers never entered into business because of thinking everything is demonic. And I tell you, if you try to trace the devil in everything, you will get it. Because let me give you a very good You know why? Let me give you a very good example. Let's say something like transport. Transport is very genuine. But you know there are some people with the transport matatu right now who are carrying a thief who is going to rob. So as a Christian, do we say now transport, you cannot enter in transport? Because you are going to carry a thief or an Uber. I've had even people who have carried the Uber, thieves in Uber. And those Ubers belong to a Christian. Now have they sinned? You get what I'm saying? A hotel, let's say a hotel or something like a hotel.
Hey.
Do you gauge the people who come there, who stay in that hotel, whether they are husband, wife? So this debate, you know, like us, sometimes as pastors, we preach very hard. Oh, kuna biashara utakiwa kuingia. You are saying that because you are in the pulpit. But actually, if you try to trace everything, do we have people in the bank where money of corruption is kept? But do we have bankers who are born again? Yes. You get what I'm saying? So it is grace that keeps us, not those touch and touch not. If we do that, even teachers, what assurance do you have? Me, I was a lecturer for 7 years, and even my parents. What guarantee do you have that all the students you are teaching, they are all going to use that technology to do good? Others...
But you have not the influence of their character.
Yes. Does not affect you.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
What you're teaching them
is
you're not teaching them
to steal.
You're not teaching them to steal.
Yes.
There's a difference.
Yes, but now let's say what I'm saying. If we try to look at evil, where evil can come from, or where the trace. Let me use the word trace of evil. The trace of evil will be in every business or in every service.
Yes,
the trace. Yeah? So what I'm trying to show is that stigma that we used to have, like now, people used to say even mining is mtu yote yuko kwa madini ni mambo ya shetani. But actually, Abraham was a miner. He was rich in gold. Solomon, during the times of Solomon, God converted the earth to store, give it to value to gold. Then God says, I'll give you treasures hidden in secret places. So like now when we began the feasibility of mining projects and whatever, some people are saying, mmeanguka nini? Sasa mnaanguka aje na mchanga? Hapa hakuna shetani. Ni calcium iko, potassium, iron no.
No. Okay, just to bring it closer home.
Yeah.
The president was recently on the spot for donating 20 million shillings in church.
Yes.
And ideally, for the people who are criticizing this, they come from a place of, that is more than the president's full year salary.
Yes.
Donating. And
yes.
I believe, if I got the story correctly, the overall project should cost over 100 million, or is it 100 million?
A billion.
You understand?
Yeah.
So he pledged 100 million.
Yeah, to make it 120.
Yes,
the project is 1 billion.
Exactly.
The church, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So ideally, as a church, if the president contributed this in your church.
Okay, let me not be judgmental, because also the president, as you know, I'm not trying to defend him, but as I've been listening to this a lot since yesterday. But there's something I also know. We cannot judge everybody by their payroll, by the mushahara ile ambao wanapokea.
Really?
This is true. I have seen people who live in houses. Hata Mungu alisema you are going to live in houses you never built and cities. Not that everybody should be collapsed, but I'm just saying, kuna vitu zingine you can, like, can I give you a very good example? Let me give you a very practical example. I'm the one who did the design and construction of JCC Sanctuary, Mombasa, with Bishop Lai, the biggest sanctuary there in Bamburi. Mm-hmm. When it came to the time of giving, I think my salary that time was 20,000. But do you know, I ended up becoming among the biggest givers. What did I do? I went to look for friends. Actually, one talent, I don't know whether mentioning him is good, because he did a good work. One of the talents, Cosmas Ndeti, but 3 times Boston Marathon winner. We met here in Nairobi. Nikamwambia, do you know what? They are building a sanctuary, and I'm looking for friends. Naye akaniambia, I've just come from outside, and I was looking for a place to give. You know how much money he gave me a check of? 150,000. Mm-hmm. 20 years ago. That was a lot of money. When I stood in the church, I was among the biggest givers. Even there are some people who started trying to look for me. Wakasema, hey, mama pastor, kuna kitu anachoa mahali. Because I stood there with the money that my salary that time was 7 times. So, you know what I'm trying to say?
I get your point, but
you may not judge people.
It's a contradiction. Okay, I'll not even talk about the contradiction part.
Yes.
Yeah, public officers should not give.
Or that one I would not.
You understand?
It's sensitive. That one is sensitive, but
I understand. But also in this economy, in this country, right? And you are someone who's dealt with entrepreneurship and business.
Yes.
Even when it comes to giving, and that's just one church, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to put you on the spot here,
yes.
right?
No
so
problem.
That's why I'm looking at it from the other side.
Yes, I understand.
Church,
Yeah.
Should the church question where money is coming from, or as long as money has come, it's okay? That's why I ask, is there good money and bad money?
You have very humorous questions. That one is a difficult one because I know there are people who may try to say, yes, you should ask. Okay, we are talking about the big fish, but what of when this offering basket is circulating? Do you go taking a microphone to everybody? Hiyo shilingi moja umetoa wapi? It is only becoming an issue with the big money.
Okay.
But if we look at doctrine-wise, as we circulate the offering bag in the church, there is no time we ask for somebody hiyo tano litoa wapi. Na pengine hata hiyo tano waliiba. Bona
asitoe, which is a good point.
Yeah.
Bona asitoe hii 20 million kama vile huyu ametoa shilingi moja.
Quietly.
Yes.
Now, okay, that's another story. Me, by the way, I like balance. It's very hard for me to hit something on one side. My calling is to balance many things. I see things differently.
Yes.
Now, Jesus talked about what your right hand is giving, don't let the other hand know. But you know, there's also a time Jesus was checking when people are giving. And that is how he discovered that the woman had given, they had given a coin that was, she said she's the one who has given much. Why did Jesus say that? Because he was checking. He was checking.
We let our audience decide. Is there good money or bad money and bad money?
That's what I was saying. Of course, yeah. Of course, there are things, of course, that are directly, which of course now enter into what we call a sinful nature. Which, for instance, I don't want to start mentioning so that anybody.
Let me give you an example, Raisi. Someone steals $1 million, akuja kudunge pastor, hiyo 100,000, that is my
tithe.
That is my tithe. Bless it. Na wewe useme Mungu aongeze mahali imetoka. God go add nini
Not even that, even a coffin. Mtu ambaye anatengeneza coffin, pastor akiomba breakthrough.
Bas. Thank you. You are good with examples. Finya hapo. That's a good example.
Are you talking about more people to die?
Good. Finya hapo. Let's work with your example. You are good with examples.
Yeah, because I've been in so many business seminars that people have been bringing this. Now, what I tell people, even if you have a funeral person in their church who is making coffins, and he comes and asks for a breakthrough,
you will bless him.
No, what do you do? No. Hey. People will still die.
So more dead people to him. That is the prayer. May dead people locate you. Grieving family.
That's like a service provider. May those who need your service. That's a joke.
May you be outstanding.
Yeah, in your services. Because people will still be buried in the way. And Jesus, we are going to share about the rapture. More. We are going to be talking about the rapture. Not everybody will live here. So somehow, people will still come there. So, I've given that because that is like an extreme.
No, it's a good example.
Yeah. Then, now, there are things like, for instance, like what I've said at school. You cannot, if we try to trace
evil,
hata hii maji hawezi kunywa because hujui ilitoka wapi, kwa sababu pengine ule mtu
is a devil worshipper.
He's a devil worshipper. hata hii nguo nimevaa haijatengenezwa na Mkristo. Yes, even the cars. Japan is not Christian.
Ai.
It's true.
Sasa ndio hiyo sasa.
Japan is not Christian. There's no revival in Japan. But 3/4 of the cars in Kenya are Japanese.
Allah.
So hata hizi vitu China, si nimekuwa China. Actually China hakuna revival ile iko mbali, ile open. People, even those who are in revival, hata wale nimekutana nao, like some people who want to do with us some work. I saw actually out of all the Chinese I've ever met, I only met one group of born again people, and they told me they worship in basements there.
That is 1 in a billion.
Exactly. Now, but all phones, hata zile za kanisa, hata microphone zetu, hata viti, hata pastor siku hizi sasa walianza kuniambia tunipeleke China, because I took one bishop to buy glass and aluminium in China. Ananiambia si tuende, because that is the only place you can get cost effective, but they are not made by Christians. So if we begin that cartel ya kusema everything that you use must be sanctified and must come from a faith person, that is a deception.
So you could actually live your life as a good Christian, but you drive a Japanese car, uchomeke, because you don't drive a Benz.
Not that. Hata hiyo Benz. Hata Benz ilitoka wapi? Benz si ni ya Germany. Na Volkswagen
guys, ya what are the Christian cars out there? Aki ya nani?
Na Volkswagen ya Hitler. So when we teach about business networking in church, actually the other day, there's a group that came up. They did the same research like me, I did in this book. I discovered if the church is to be raptured today, only 7% of the economy will be affected. Because we are not in the church, like there are 300 beach hotels, over 300, not 3-star, kwenda juu, over 300. They are here, listed here. But only 3 that time were owned by Christians, only 3. But do we go there? Do we have seminars there? Yes. Do we sleep those places? Do we give them business during conferences? Yes. That is why God has chosen the world to intermingle. Na tena, not everybody is permanent ati kwamba is not a believer every day. Some of us, we are going to use those facilities, and through that we convert them. We convert them to the faith. So, I think the most important thing to be open ni kwamba if you look at sin, what we call sin, in trace of sin, as I've said, you can have a bank. Okay, sometimes we talk about pastors a lot, which is also good for us to be given food for thought. But think about you running a microfinance or as a bank. Will you be checking all the, okay, there's a KYA, the KYC, they call it KYC, know your customer. But even if it is a KYC you are doing, you can't again trace hii matatu kuna mtu alipea mechanic something extra, kuna fuel ilifanywa hivyo. You see, now you can't also go that. So the same way that we don't beat bankers who keep money and receive, and shopkeepers who receive money, let's also give pastors grace, but we are not giving a loophole for carelessness.
Okay.
Yeah, there has to be integrity, but again, we should not propagate it in the pulpit kuambia watu live the way you want, do whatever you want, and bring the tithe here.
Okay.
But again, if you go now deeper, like what happened, I might revisit what happened. Do you know David built the temple alone and with just a few people? King David. He said, I've set in my house all the treasures in my house to build God's house. He left Solomon a lot of money. Actually, the Solomonic temple was around 14 billion today. David raised half with his family. And he said, I have set my treasures. King Cyrus, God told King Cyrus, I know you are a heathen. I know you don't follow me, but build my house. Different from children of Israel who built the tabernacle where God had allowed them to take the wealth of the Egyptians. Do you know the first tabernacle was built with the wealth of Egyptians? When they were leaving Egypt, that night, God made sure the wealth had come to them. So in Exodus 25, when Moses started asking the children of Israel to bring the materials, it is what they had taken from the Egyptians that night. They are oppressors. It's called the wealth transfer. There was a wealth transfer from the heathen to the righteous people.
So that's a thing, wealth transfer.
Yes.
That's where the spiritual now connection comes in.
Exactly. Even Abimelech blessed Abraham. Alipochukua bibi yake Sarah na wakapigwa plague usiku. Wakaanza kuwa na maboils. Wakanotice ala, akaambiwa hapana, huyu si sister yake. Si sister yangu. When Abimelech was releasing Abraham in the morning, si alimbariki na vitu. That is called wealth transfer. And even in this end time, we have, what was also kept, God says that he's going to transfer the kingdom, but through business again. That is also through business. It's not that every time you go possessing people's houses. You do business that will attract people of every kind, and God give you favor with it.
Okay.
That is how the wealth transfer. That's a topic for another day. It's a long one. I'll give you almost 10 examples
Let me
later.
actually
Wealth transfer. It's a very powerful one.
Mkitaka wealth transfer, wacha tu.
Yeah, it's a very good one. Yeah.
You've said you can trace evil in everything if you want.
Yes.
So you've been a pastor for many years. I believe this was written in 2000.
Yes, yes.
So in fact, you have very many books. Do you stock with Nuria?
What I've done,
Yeah.
I've ran out of all copies. And I want to reprint them with the republishing. So I've actually done now 180 books, spiritual and professional books. But I'm reprinting even the old ones, even this one.
Tafuta Nuria. I'll link you up. Nuria will make sure it is accessible to all Kenyans.
Yes, yes.
All corners.
I'm now in that safe phase now.
Yeah.
I finished the content, the packaging, the ones I sent you. Yeah.
Sawa.
Yeah.
So you can trace evil in everything if you want.
Yes.
So this is a question to you as a pastor.
Yes.
Is devil worship real?
Hey, it is. Oh, personally, I have dealt with the people, students, people who have entered into devil worship. Not even long. Just the other Sunday, I think the other Sunday.
Ya ukweli na sio mental health.
Literally. Unaenda kuombea mtu anatoa ulimi kama nyoka.
Na ukaona na macho.
Si kuona, nika participate masaa kama 5 mpaka akakuwa delivered. Hata si moja. I'm talking about thousands. What people see in deliverance sometimes to certain ministers, even in television, me, I've experienced it. I may not be like, somehow by the grace of God, because of education, I am very balanced. I don't think everything as a demon, as an angel. But let me tell you, the issues of devil worship, sometimes I go to pray for people with the Holy Ghost. Unaweza kuona mtu ameanza kuruka. Just the other day, nilikuwa naambia watu kanisani. By the grace of God, God uses me a lot in healing and deliverance also, apart from training. Msichana mdogo ilibidi ashikwe na watu 7. Anatutupa sote.
So now, for the sick,
yes.
I believe in God. Let's make that clear.
Yes.
But I have also seen the news
yes.
where the people who are undergoing deliverance later came out to say they were acting, they were paid 2,000 or nini. And those stories are on record, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So, with crooked people. Crooked ministers. But genuinely, from the Bible days, deliverance was there. People were... See, Jesus met somebody in the Sea of Galilee ambaye alikuwa anavunja chains. Literally kuna watu ambao, mwambie msichana tulikuwa tunadeal naye juzi, ilibidi in the church hapo mbele watu 7 waje wamshike. Na bado alikuwa anatuzidi nguvu.
Anashikwa na watu 7.
Yes, na bado unaona
shetani mwenye ako ndani yake.
Yes. Si pepo zilitoka kwa mtu mmoja zikapeleka pigs 2,000 crazy.
So there are people walking around na wako na mapepo. Until you go to the pulpit. So unaweza kuwa na mapepo ni vile uendangi kanisa.
Yes, you don't go to the place, the atmosphere. That is another story.
Tuambie.
Okay, wacha nikuambie tu generally. It is true, yes. Because the Holy Spirit, mostly, mahali ambapo zitalipuka, ni mahali roho wa Mungu yuko. Na watu wengi wakienda kuokoka, mara nyingi, sometimes I go to pray for people to receive Christ. All of a sudden unaanza kuona mtu anafanya hivi. Very decent person anaanza kufanya hivi ama anaanguka. It is because the Holy Spirit who is coming in at new birth amechokoza zile zilikuwa huko ndani zinatoka. Unaelewa? Now, in the teaching on deliverance, which we can handle another time, there are various ways in which demons access people. Zingine ni generations.
Guza tu kidogo.
Okay, niguze.
Topic yenye wealth transfer.
Okay. Wewe
guza, ongea. Yes.
Kuna zingine ni generations. Wakiwa mazazi walidedicate watoto. I have dealt with the children who parents dedicated them to altars. Wakasema huyu mtoto akizaliwa alipelekwa kwa mganga akafanywa kitu fulani. Na wakasema kwamba atatumikia shetani. Akianza kuombewa unasikia hata zile pepo zikitaja huyo mganga ama zikisema huyo.
And the child doesn't know.
Ajui hata akiongea hata akiamka. Si umeona wale watu wanakuwa delivered. Hata hapa there are some genuine ministers in the television. I may not mention some of them because of contradiction and other. Okay. But I follow them and I know them, some of them. Unasikia unaona mtu wakati ako chini akiamka hata anashangaa alikuwa wapi. Because the time that manifestation takes place, they are no longer in control. Na zikianza unasikia zikiongea, zinaanza kutaja majina. Kama hiyo hata juzi ilitaja, ikasema ni grandmother yake ndiye alimweka. So devil worship is real, witchcraft is real. Witchcraft is as old as Moses. Si Moses alipoenda kwa Farao akaangusha.
Ulikuwa tu explainia vile zina transfer. One generational, hiyo ni moja.
Okay, generational, ingine ni involvement.
Involvement? How? Oh, you go visit
to visit a diviner.
Okay. Yes.
You go to visit a diviner, unakuta ama you go to an altar or a service, kama hizi night services zingine. Hata students, the other day I was dealing with a student ambaye mmoja wao aliingizwa kwa devil worship during a holiday. Kumbe hiyo shule akaanza kuinitiate wengine. Sasa usiku the whole dormitory inakuwa infested by demons. Anakuwa ni kama agent sasa wa kurecruit wengine.
Na ni real ati they actually have their own system, like this is actually shetani asifiwe.
Haya kabisa. Kwani what is witchcraft? Ukienda kwa mganga, because God has used me to deliver some witches in Mombasa and other places. Nikiingia unakuta idols, unakuta mabones zimehang, skeleton. That is idolatry.
Haya.
So they have enthroned a god na hiyo,
and it has powers.
It has powers. Si hata hiyo, wacha nikumalizie hiyo powers kwa sababu watu wengine waamini. Si Moses alipoenda Egypt, alipoangusha nyoka mti yake, si magicians walikuwa, si waliangusha miti, si ilibadilisha kuwa nyoka. The only difference is that Moses' stick swallowed the smaller sticks. So anybody who says that, mi kwanza nimedeal na wengi, wengine hata wanafukuzwa usiku. I was even just testifying the other day of a friend in Mombasa. He comes knocking at night. Anafukuzwa. Literally saa 9 usiku. But because he knew we pray, alipoanza kufukuzwa alikuwa ni devil worshipper. Lakini watu wakaanza kumuombea. Sasa mapepo zikaanza kumsumbua. Sasa alipokuja kwangu, kwa sababu tulikuwa tunaomba, aligonga msiku papa. Ananiambia mbwa ziko hapa, zinanifukuza. Na kweli spiritually nilipofunguliwa macho niliziona na nikasikia hizo noises. But you could see a tormented guy. Actually he was a manager. A very top manager of a certain parastatal.
So number 2, involvement.
Yes. Number 3, ni kuna ile inaitwa whatever objects dedicated to idols. Kuna watu wakati wa maharusi wanapeangwa rings, vitu. Mtu anataka kukubewitch, anakuwekea kitu. Sometimes it is something to drink or something to carry. Those points of contacts have got, they come when Paul went in Ephesus and there was a very big revival. Sikundisemekana kulichomwa vitu mingi sana za idols.
Yes.
Sasa hata sisi unakuta irizi. Mtu aliwekewa irizi. I was dealing with a family one time. in Embu, where we are connected. In Embu mission hapo nilikuwa na preach and then all of a sudden nikaanza kuombea mama. Nilipoanza kuombea mama, alikuwa ameshika mtoto naye akaanza kuika. Nika notice zile zimetoka hapa zimeenda kule. Sasa when I came together, I asked them directly by word of knowledge, wewe ulipewa nini wakati wa harusi na mama fulani? Do you know the grandmother gave a gift? As a gift. Ni maana naambianga watu kwa maharusi, ukipokea zawadi zako zote, pray for them. That was a point of contact.
Ama useme walete pesa peke yake.
By the way, whatever, if you were suspicious, yes. Actually, you have brought a point. There is a family. I was doing marriage counseling because I also do that a lot. Niliwaambia, if it is so sensitive, msikubali hizo vitu, watu watoa pesa. There's a time I guided people like that. So, nikawaambia, hebu tuende nyumbani. Luckily enough, they were just from Majimbo, Embu. When we went, nikaambia mama, hebu leta ile kitu ulipewa. Alipoleta yule mtoto, alibadilika. Mtoto analia na yell akiwa anafuata hiyo gift. So I anointed it and disconnected her. Akarudi normal. Points, objects.
So your objects?
Objects dedicated to idols can be another door. Another door is, of course, through associations. Have you seen people, unaenda mtu anaoa mtu, na ajui yeye ni kuna mapepo ama mtu aliingia kwa devil worship. Through that cohabitation, unakuta mtu, because like the sexual union, unakuta mtu pia ameingia kwa hiyo. It doesn't matter.
Nilikuwa nafikiria utasema hiyo, okay. Okay.
Many people, hata mapepo wengine wakati unasikia zile unazoanga kwa TV unasikia mtu anasema akona spiritual husband or physical husband, hizo vitu. They are real. There are people who in the night they sleep with other objects because of that interaction.
Oh, not ati you've interacted with someone mwenye akona mapepo, so you
but even that can also happen if you are especially if you are not born, if you are not preserved by God, ujiweke uanze kukimbia kila mtu. So unajua unabeba roho zile ziko na watu.
No, unaweza kimbia na mtu mmoja na yeye akuwe na mapepo. You don't have to.
By the way, those things happen, unfortunately. Yeah. But you should not fear all the time kwamba mtu ataona mapepo. I don't want to bring stigma kwa wapendo. Ama kwa watu kuangalia yule anasema uko na pepo.
Ama you should pray before sex. To anoint. Is it possible?
It is true, yeah.
You should anoint.
No.
Anoint the skin.
No. Not necessary.
Mungu bariki.
No, you see, the issue of marriage, as long as you have pitia ile njia ambayo inatakiwa, awezi atisema kila kitu ni maombi. There are people who have spiritualized that thing. Anasema ati mkienda kuoa siku hiyo unaenda kwanza mkeshe. Usiguze mtu.
Yes.
No, that is crazy. You don't even have time for that.
Okay, ingine let's give it a decent language.
Yeah.
Before you are married, uko kwa kiwanja.
Yes.
Kwa kiwanja it means you're always at risk.
Yeah.
Of acquiring demons.
No, not really. No, not all the time. I'm just saying if you are careless and you don't know where people come from. I have met people, hata ujaona hata kwa, although those are movies in Nigeria, but there are some of them are real. Unakuta mtu alilala na mtu akiamuka asubuhi ni mbuzi.
You slept with the goat.
Yeah, it is true. Even in Mombasa, those incidents, there's a young man.
Hi.
There's a young man kwa shule. Nilienda shule moja, I think, let me not mention the school, but I was doing a revival. And I prayed for a certain boy who really manifested very heavily. Na aliniambia he was already in a relationship with somebody who had altars. Okay. Alikuwa connected to a witch. Sasa yeye zake zili manifest kwa sababu wakiwa hivyo So the Bible says, he who does not cover himself, the serpent will bite him. Ukifungua hiyo mlango, unafungulia mlango. So even sin, ndio nasema, not only immorality, but even sin has a way of attracting spirits, especially certain levels. But not that every time that ukifanya kitu, you become conscious that you are going to be possessed. Yeah. So basically, okay, there may be others, but those are the 3-4 major.
That has been said on this platform by Dr. Mwaka from Tanzania, who told us on the platform that he has practiced witchcraft.
Okay, so I'm teaching things that people you have heard in the platform before.
They have. It has been. It caused. It had mixed reactions. There are people who say that these are imaginations.
Oh my God, they are not.
In fact,
they are so sober.
What he said. In my interpretation, not what he said, my interpretation was what you've said, opening a door that sometimes when you say, for example, watching pornography and when you sleep with people, there are demons just waiting for you to have sex so they can.
Yes, those things now they are there. These are like a door you have opened. The other thing is that people can also covenant you. Some people can throw spells, but for a Christian you should not fear that. But if you are not, there are people who have the power to do that. Let's say you are a business threat to somebody hata kazini. Si unasikianga watu wamekuja kuna watu walikuja wakaingia kwa ofisi wakafanya vitu fulani, vitu zimeanza kuharibika kwa ofisi. This is real. I tell you, it is real. Not even that, haunted houses. The other day, I will not mention the person, just two weeks ago, no, a month ago, I was in a haunted house somewhere in this city twice.
Please explain that phenomenon.
Unakuta mtu amelala lakini anasikia vitu zinatembea. Kumbe ni uadui ule wako nao kama jamii, kuna mtu amewaendea kwa witchcraft.
So what is that?
Akaeka spells, akaeka vitu uko ndani. So when we anointed the place, that was the first time that person slept well. Sasa tunaona objects again.
So
in association.
These are spirits that have been sent.
Yes,
spirits are not physical form, so they can shake things.
They have been sent to destroy. See, the devil comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So what they was doing, ilikuwa inamnyima uzingizi.
Okay.
Na kusikia vitu zinatembea, na yeye pia usiku anatembezwa nazo, anafanywa night running.
Okay.
Anaamshwa na zinamwambia njoo upike. Anajikuta yuko kwa anali anapika.
Oh dear Lord.
Na anapika na akaanguka. Akavunjika mguu. Sasa alipoangalia mtoto akasikia harufu ya chakula. Ndiye akaamka. And when we went to anoint her, alianguka. Akaanza kushake. Na akaniambia zimeisha. Na tukazunguka kwa place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, two things before.
But it's very, when I hear people say that this person is pretending. Oh my God. Pretending what?
Wanasema ni stories za ajabu.
No. By the way, maybe kwanza to the glory of God, because that is a grace I operate in. I think through ministration zangu mwenyewe, wacha wale wahubiri wengine, hundreds and hundreds, I have seen God delivering them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aya.
Na ndio mtu very decent. Hata kuna mmoja alikuwa na masters. Amesimama hivi na ajui, anaanguka tu anaanza kwenda kama nyoka. We took 6 hours. Na alikuwa ametoka shule. Zimemsimamisha kwenda shule. Akienda darasani analala. Na zinamfanya nini? Awe na blackout. Haoni mwalimu. Na akatoka shule literally. Nilimkuta Mombasa. Portris akiwa out of school.
Okay.
Today he has, I think, even a PhD.
Okay. Two things before we let you go.
Yes.
Number one, it's something. One of the things you've mentioned in passing. Yeah, foundations. We call them foundations.
Yes, foundations. Yeah.
And patterns that repeat themselves.
Yes.
Family.
Yes.
Tell us something about that.
Oh, that is also what we are talking about, curses. There are people who have got two schools of thoughts, that there are no curses at all, and others believe everything is a curse. Those are two extreme schools. But curses exist. Some of them are invoked by parents, others self-zako mwenyewe. Like actually this whole month, kanisani, we have a church here at Dagoretti Corner opposite Meteorological. I was teaching, this whole month I've been teaching the power of confession. The biggest curse, ile ambayo ni mbaya kabisa ni ile kuna confess we mwenyewe. Ndio maana Zakaria, wakati God came to announce the birth of John the Baptist, alimfunga mdomo. Ili asi go against, because he was not believing.
But akifikiria?
Yes, yeah. Sasa you know what?
The difference between what you think and what you say.
Both, you see now, but out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Okay. So utajiri ukiongezeka ndani, ndio unasema.
Yes.
But curses, kuna self-invoked curses, kuna curses za wazazi. Ndio maana naambianga watu hata wakati wanakuja kwangu, live well with parents. Parents, and also we teach parents, be careful what you tell children. The Jews used to bless their children. Hata saa hii ukienda Israel, ukute mzee akutana na mtu mdogo, utakuta ameweka kichwa yake hivi. Kuna ile baraka ya Musa. May God face God before you. May you have a favor. Sasa kuna hiyo. Na kuna ile ya kujitakia. Mimi kila wakati niko mgonjwa. Hii mwezi ikifika lazima niwe mgonjwa. The moment you say that, the devil comes to establish that. When they said they are grasshoppers or spies, Mungu akasema you are not going to inherit the land because you are speaking against yourselves.
Yes.
David alipokutana na Goliath alimwambia wewe, kichwa yako leo tunaipeana kwa I'm going to give over your head. So you see, kuna zile so curses na kuna sasa hizo za witches. Where people wanaenda kwa mganga on somebody's behalf and they say so and so's family will not prosper. How atafanyiwa? And then they raise even an altar and give an offering to seal it. Those things we should not take them lightly because kuna pepo zinasikianga hata zikilia kwa watu zinasema nilitumwa na mtu fulani. And they got an access because maybe this person was also not born again or not protected by God.
So, I'd like to engage further kidogo to on that. But then, wale watu, one of my favorite haters on Twitter, anaitwa Fels One, ama Jaloka, he said something that the way the Pope is holding on to his dear life, kwani how bad is heaven? Already ushaona my story inaenda. I saw that screenshot. Na
okay, could I teach you end time? Wakati tutakuja kuidigest, we will know heaven is good. Great. New Jerusalem, hizo vitu zote. Tutakuja kuangalia hiyo mambo. Rapture is good. But you know, naturally, people fear the unknown. But there is peace that given to people when they are departing. Have you read my book about chapter 1, ile Elisha? That people knew their departure. Ukiangalia chapter ya kwanza, discerning times and seasons. Utakuja Elisha alijua wakati wa kuenda kwake. Aliambiwa hata atupe no, that is the Joash story. Elisha ni mambo, no, it was Elijah to Elisha. Alimwambia ukiniona, nikienda utapokea.
Yes.
Moses knew his time was going. Si aliambiwa abariki Joshua to take over. Pia Elisha, is it Elisha and Joash? Yes. Yes, when Elisha was sick, huyo mfalme alipokuja Joash alimwambia atupe mikuki because anaenda. Na ile mikuki anatupa ndio power inakuja. Then hakutupa yote. So Elisha died with an anointing. Walipoenda kuzika watu kwa grave, Elisha akafufuka. Kwa sababu alikufa na grace. So people know John chapter 14, let your heart not be troubled, believe in God also in me. In my Father's house there are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. People know Jesus went to prepare a place for us. But naturally, life has got so much in it. kuna relationships, kuna affections, kuna kuzoea ile mambo unaona. Other people wanaonyeshangwa wakienda. When I come to share about the rapture hapo karibu, I'll share with you a few examples ambao watu wameonyeshwa mahali wanaenda na unakuta mtu anafurahi. Hakika even I think I minister to somebody na ananiambia mimi mahali naenda hata sitaki kuwa na nyinyi. So kuna watu wanaona mahali wanaenda and they cherish that place more than that. Hata kuna watu wanaambiangwa tu release huyo mtu. Yuko mgonjwa sana na anaanza kuambia nyinyi, kwa nini mnaniweka hapa? Why are you holding me here? And I've already been shown where I'm going. So eternity is real and there is joy. And we shall all go there through the rapture. That is what I have written in the book of End Time yangu. This book of End Time ile kupatia, it is one. So, okay, but nobody is careless, of course, to die. Hata Yesu si aliambiwa ajiangushe hapo. Because also there is purpose. Life, you cannot be a suicide bomber. Because there is also purpose in life.
Sasa, the other thing.
Yes.
Please, hii kitu inaniwasha sana.
Yeah.
I know we promised to carry it forward.
Yes.
But I would like for you to touch on it kidogo. And
yes.
Then we close.
Yeah.
Wealth transfer.
Or wealth transfer.
What is wealth transfer?
Okay, wealth transfer is where God has given a promise to the church that the wealth of the nations or the wicked, there are many scriptures on it. I'll send you a whole sheet ambayo iko na scriptures kama 20. Inasema the wealth of the wicked they heap up for the righteous. The best example niyo nimekuambia Egypt. The children of Israel were never paid for 400 years. Lakini wakati waliondoka hiyo siku, God gave them favor, wakaenda kwa kila nyumba. They asked for vessels of gold, na ndio maana tabernacle ilijengwa na dhahabu.
They didn't steal.
They never steal. They just asked. And they were giving willingly. Nikakupatia example ingine ya nani, Abimelech, how he blessed Abraham. In the morning wakati alinotice kwamba huyo si sister yake, already the plagues zilikuwa zimewashukia usiku. Abraham akaconfess akasema hapana, niliwaambia huyu ni dada yangu, si dada yangu, ni bibi yangu. Sasa Abimelech akasema kwa nini ulinificha? Akasema lete ngamia, lete utajiri. Hiyo ikapeanwa. Another example is when Solomon was building the temple. Wakati aliachua utajiri, he was left with a lot of wealth by David, Solomon, ya kujenga temple.
Yes.
But it was not enough. He wrote a letter to a heathen king, the king of Tyre. I think that today is Tyre is today's Tunisia or somewhere there. Yes, Turkey. Uko that area. Akamwambia, the way my dad gave me an assignment to build God's house, can you send workers and timber? So the heathen king brought timber to build God's house. Na ndio maana nilikuwa nasema hata hii mambo ya watu kutoa sadaka kwa kanisa or something, if we spiritualize it too much that only believers should be involved in God's work, our leaders cannot be involved or somebody else. Okay, I know it is very sensitive now. But if we go to an extreme in doctrine, we will not be right. Because we will be denying such people. Also, they are believers. And God can use kings to do his work, even heathen.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
I heard someone say that there is a certain community
yes.
At the coast
yes.
who can never give you cash because they would rather buy you everything, you eat, nini, but giving you cash is like giving you access to their wealth directly. It's like they're giving you a pass, they're giving you access. It means so much to them.
Yeah.
So handing money to you, hata niliambiwa ati when they give you money, they would rather give you with the left hand because somehow it has a certain significance if they give you Is it?
No, I think that one, that is a community embodied things and belief systems.
Okay.
They are not in the Bible. But can I shock you? Even Jews, among themselves, Jews do business among themselves a lot. Mm-hmm. They keep business among themselves a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that they don't interact with people, but before a Jew sells you a property, he must exhaust that there is no other Jew who would want to buy that property. And there are some communities who are not going to mention in Kenya who operate like that. That's why they are also, there is like a principle of prosperity among the communities.
I heard, is it the Jews? I'm not sure how many the Jews who, before money goes out of the community, it has to circulate 7 times.
Exactly. In Dioyo, Diohao. Yeah. That is a belief system. It's not a doctrine we can embrace now. It is just something like probably a belief system. You know, faith also works in many faith works in many ways. And there is also, now you know there are levels of faith, Yes. Levels of faith. Kuna ile faith yako, supernatural faith, God-given faith. Hata belief system. Si unaona kama sasa tumekuja tukakalia kiti hatukuangalia kama inaweza anguka.
Yes.
Sikuiangalia hata niliamini tu hii kiti yenu hoteli nzuri, iko sawa nikaketi. And it has worked for me.
Wow, that's an interesting concept. That's a very interesting way to look at things.
Yes. Sasa kuna ile faith yako. Actually there are 25 levels of faith. Kuna supernatural faith, kuna faith yako ya mwenyewe ya kuishi. There are people actually who live life and they succeed a lot. They may not even be believers, but their faith touches God. Very good example. Si Yesu alikuwa ana minister kwa watu. Akasikia mabati inang'olewa. Na jamaa anateremshwa. Watu wameamini. Milango iko imejaa lakini tunalazima tuteremshe mtu kutoka kwa mabati. Imagine kung'oa mabati.
Yes.
Ili wateremshe mtu. And when wakati Yesu aliona mtu ameteremka alisema I have not even seen this kind of faith.
Yes.
Huyo mtu ainuke sai.
Yes.
You get
Yes.
Hata ile woman with the issue of blood.
Who
touched. Yes, and he pressed through akasema if I can only touch. That's another subject. Faith now kuna ile faith ya watu na kuna supernatural faith gift. Kuna ile gift ya faith. Sasa hiyo ndio inaletanga miracles. There are 12 gifts. 9. The power gifts, the gifts of power is healing, working of miracles and faith. Hiyo ndio inakufanya uinuke. Let me give you my personal example. When it worked. Nilikuwa nahubiri when I was very young minister in JCC Mombasa. Kulikuwa watu wanaendelea na kuomba hivi. Alafu nikaona gari imeingia kwa compound, mtu ameletwa na mattress. Na kumbe watu waliamini, Coast General wakasema badala huyu mtu akuvia hapa, wacha tumpeleke kanisani, whatever happens kutafanyika hapo. Na mimi somehow nilisikia faith nyingine imeinuka. Nikaambia watu hata wacha nisimame kupreach sasa. Nikateremka chini. Nikasema huyu mtu atainuka. I just felt a certain level of faith. Huyo mtu aliinuka instant. The whole church went into a celebration. Na huyo sasa doctor ndiye alikuja kutuambia huyo mtu alikuwa anakufa hospitali. 2 Sundays ago I was in the Kenyatta National Hospital. I met somebody paralyzed. Nisikia faith imeinuka. Nikashika huyo mama hivi, tukaomba. Nilikuwa ni mama wa one of our leaders in church. Hiyo supernatural faith, the following day she was discharged.
Now is this for that's a very interesting example. Juu kuna watu criticize watu wa kanisa, wanauliza mbona mpeleki miracles kwa hospitali. Na hapo mali roho ilikushikia shuko Kenyatta. Kila mtu aende nyumbani.
No, by the way I prayed for the other people. Ni vile sasa time ilifika tukatolewa. Actually we started praying for the others. Nilianza kwenda kwa hizo beds. Ni vile sijapokea ripoti ya wale wengine because sikujua ni nani.
But ni faith ya enda home.
No.
It
was not that he enda home because you cannot tell somebody enda home kwa sababu daktari ndiye ataamua.
Basi enda home in Jesus name.
Yes, but we prayed for all the people in that ward.
What then determines nani anaenda home na nani anabaki hapo bado? Na injili ni ile.
Na hiyo ni mambo ya Mungu because kuna watu lazima wataenda wengine lazima watabaki, wengine wako na purposes za Mungu, wengine ni wazee, wengine walikuwa wazee. Unajua pia old age, si hata Musa alifika mahali akazeeka akaambiwa ni wakati wa kwenda. Now life,
so kuna mahali faith na huyo ni wa kuenda. Enda home, we bye.
But even there's an incident in the Bible where Jesus said that sickness is not unto death. Kuna sickness, hata Elisha. By the way, you can also be anointed. So you know Elisha also, very powerful man, but died sick. So that does not mean that faith, anybody who is sick or not going through issues doesn't have faith.
Yeah.
Hata Yesu si alikutana na mtu ambaye alikuwa kipofu, akauliza who sinned? Hiyo doctrine ya curses. Nani alifanya dhambi kwa hii jamii ili huyu mtu awe kipofu? Yesu akasema nobody sinned, but this woman became blind so that the glory of God may be seen. Kwamba Yesu ndiye atamfungua macho ili watu wajue Yesu yuko. So kuna maneno hata ukiwa uko na faith ya aina gani, hata mhubiri. Si hata Paul alijaribu kuomba. Paul ambaye alikuwa alinua Eutychus kutoka kwa kifo. Miracles will happen through life of Paul. But alienda kuomba Mungu kuhusu mwiba alikuwa nao. Mungu akamwambia sikuondolei. Hiyo mwiba ili akukunyenyekesha. You remain humble. My grace is sufficient for you. I have known preachers who have been demonstrating God's power huko nje, lakini ako na doctor nyuma yake anamwangalia. I'm not going to mention him but he got healed. He was here in the country the other day at a very, very big meeting. But for 20 years, he used to raise people from the wheelchairs nini, lakini nyuma yake kuna daktari anamwangalia. So one day
mwenye unasema huyo. Najua huyo mwenye
unasema. Lakini alipo siku moja kwa mkutano ndio Mungu alimponya. Alianguka na watu. So by the time he came to Kenya, he was already healed. Umeelewa?
Nilisikia hiyo story, but
it is real for 20 years. Actually, it is minted in his books. 20 years he was healing the sick, but he had a doctor behind. Na alikuwa anamwangalia tu na monitor. Na alipona siku moja, alienda kuombea watu hivi naye akaanguka na akapona. Mambo ya Mungu nayo ni kuanga kali bwana. Inaitwa God's thoughts are higher than our thoughts.
So inamaanisha the same way kuna generational wealth, kuna also generational poverty.
Blessings.
No, kuna generational
blessings nyingi sana.
Kuna generational poverty.
No, hiyo curses ndio hiyo inaweza kuja na hiyo, lakini you can break it. You can break it spiritually and also by lifestyle. Rahab alikuwa kahaba. When he welcomed the spies na akawaweka kwa roof, she appears now in the genealogy of Jesus Christ in Hebrews. She is honored in Hebrews and in Matthew. Rahab, naitangwa Rahab the harlot. So by acts that we do, givings, doing good works, kuna vitu na break. This curses issue is not to keep somebody at it. Even those who have had today, don't think that because there was poverty in your family, there was a witch. That is not cast on stone. You can still change that destiny through prayer, your personal confession, your personal determination. Kuna watu pia who determine kwamba hakuna poverty. By the way, most of the people who have been very rich, they tasted poverty in a bad way. Baka wakasema, I will never allow poverty again. Unasikia hiyo resolve. Because I've listened to these billionaires in the world. Hata hizi channel kama is a Believe Nation nasikizanga. Most of the people who are very rich were people who are saying they will never be poor again. Wakakuwa na poverty mpaka wana make resolve. On that faith, they also put God in it. To now muna breakthrough. But generational blessings are also there. Si wana Abraham na watoto wake walibarikiwa, Solomon, David. Do you know utajiri wa Solomon ulitoka wapi? Na ndio maana watu wasipige sana mambo ya kujenga kanisa. Kusema kweli. Na si hata natetea kwa sababu ni pastor. Even when I was a believer, nilijua baraka zangu zinatokana na Mungu. David siku moja aliketi tu hivi akiwa king. Akasema, I'm living in a palace, but the house of God is in ruins. Before he built, Nathan was sent to him. Akaambiwa, go tell my servant that there shall ever be a king in his house. That is why Jesus was born in the lineage of David. Son of David. Is it not the book of Mark?
Yes.
Jesus, son of David. Kwa hivyo watu wasicheze na hii mambo ya madhabahu tena sana, kuipiga sana, because it has changed many lives.
Unajua watu wanasema madhabahu ndio the people who kuna watu wanasema kanisa iliuza wa Kenya in terms of the elections last year.
Well, so that is, yeah, here and there I cannot say yes or no. Because that is now a political decision.
Yeah, it is. And again, I'll not put you on the spot.
Yes.
Such hiyo ndio kidogo inafanyanga people have shaky faith, especially on matters of what the church has become. But hapo kwa hiyo point ya poverty.
But let me tell you, in the respective of whatever people do, usilaane kazi ya Mungu.
Yeah.
The kazi ya Mungu ni real.
Yeah.
Altars are real. People who do good works are always rewarded. By the way, kuna watu hata wakiwa wametenda mambo gani. You know the grace of God now is open, eh? Unaweza kuona mtu kama Zacchaeus.
Peana example ingine. They will politicize that one.
Okay.
They will politicize
okay.
Tuko kwa Bible, si ndio?
Okay. Acha tupeana ingine. Tumepeana ya Harot, Rahab.
Saul Damascus. Peana ya Saul Damascus.
Yes. Paul was a murderer. Alipokuja na akakuwa converted, ilikuwa ni ya fujo. Alipigwa blackout. Akakosa kuona. Kuna watu lazima wapitie hizo, by the way, wanapigangwa ma blackout ama ma shake up. Paul kutoka hapo, he wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. Mpaka watu walipokoka alianza kusema wako na kaplani. Kuna kitu anatorokea. Actually, you know, Barnabas had to introduce Paul.
Oh, I thought you said Barnabas boy. Yes.
Barnabas had to introduce Paul to the church because they were saying this man.
Yeah,
atumtrust. Vile amekuja na vile alituua nikampango amefanya akonvert aje atuue kutoka ndani. So let's also receive the grace. Let's not block people from being good.
Okay.
Or being converted. Hata mtu mbaya ukisema ati alienda kanisa gani? But Jesus also interacted with the sinners. Mpaka Pharisees wakakuwa very offended.
That conversation is above my pay grade. That is above me. So alafu hapo kwa poverty.
Yeah.
Hapo kwa poverty, kuna hiyo poverty ya yenyewe, by the way, hakuna kitu unaweza fanya.
Generation.
Let me give a shout out to our team ya Green Media. They have a podcast ya conversation. They want to discuss a different kind of poverty. Yeah, there is your poverty ya kuinherit and there is poverty ya campus. Ile ni suffering. It's a special kind of suffering. Oh Lord, help me.
Unasafa kule mpaka ukitoka, you have not recovered the tremor.
Yeah. And sometimes it is self-inflicted. And niliambiwa kwanza, you should watch that story. Watu kuna njaa hii yenye unaweza sikia kawaida ya kukula, na kuna njaa ya campus.
Yes.
That is disguised. It's very well dressed. Unaona watu wanatembea wanaenda class wako smart, but ukimguza hivi anaanguka. They have not eaten for 4 days. People are suffering. Check out that conversation iko kwa our team at Green Media.
Yes, because kuna watu after stigma na tremor ya kile umepitia, some people don't recover. They now want to drink themselves, wanasema hii familia yetu hakuna kitu tunaweza fanya. Tulizaliwa hivyo. Others use that pain for gain. Ni kama Ana Hana alitumia uchungu wa kukosa mtoto na kulilia Mungu mpaka akapata watoto 6. Unajua watu wanafikirianga alipata tu mtoto moja, Samuel. Baada ya Hana kupata Samuel alipata watoto wengine 5. That pain. So you can turn pain into gain. Hiyo uchungu sasa akiwa ni ya kukosa ama ni ufukara. By the most of the people ukiangalia who have not everybody, let me not say that because I've also listened I think to almost 400 billionaires in various forums. Others are owed money, others is fortune, others in nini. Lakini kuna watu, one of the guys who owns a lot of restaurants, I think he's number, is it 20 in Forbes, chain of restaurants. He was so poor. He was begging in New York. Alifanya kazi McDonald's ya kwanza. And then he began a franchise of restaurants and foods. Sasa yeye is born again, lakini alikuwa anasema hiyo uchungu. Aliketi hivi anakula chakula cha kama yule prodigal son. Akasema I will not eat this again. Akaangalia watu wanapeleka magari, akasema mimi nitapigana mpaka, although it took time, like I think 15 years later, mpaka bibi yake alimwacha. Sasa the same wife alikuja kumwajiri baadaye in a franchise of hotels.
He employed the wife.
Yeah, the wife later. Ule alikuwa amemwacha. Kwa sababu hiyo pain. So hiyo pain pia, let me tell you, God also allows those pains, even in ministry, in life. But now you can turn your pain for distraction. Mtu kama sasa mtu anasikianga uchungu anaanza kunywa madawa, anakuwa reckless. Sasa hiyo ni mbaya. You should turn your pain of challenges into gain.
Wow, I wish this message could get to our students or our University of Embu. We were there with my friends,
yes.
Our team, na tukapata, they are dealing with a very unique case.
Yes.
Unique case, like at the school, they've had, I think, was it 2 or 3 cases of suicide in a week or within a month. I don't remember the details, and it's because the students are going through a lot. And I believe this goes out to them, na students across the country.
It is true. Kama Joseph, let me give you a very, very good example of Joseph is the best character. And David, those are 2 people who ended very well. But maisha yao ilikuwa mbaya. Hakuna, hata naambianga watu, hii maisha tunasemanga sijui mbaya. Can you imagine wewe uuzwe na ndugu zako? Ubebwe kama product.
The ultimate form of betrayal, actually. Yeah.
Upelekwe mahali, uwe mfanyikazi. Uwe first accused. Upelekwe prison. Na ni miaka si moja, it was 16 years. Your pain. Because Joseph was betrayed, I think, at the age of 14. He became a leader at 30. Pain after pain. Uko prison hivi, si kwa sababu uliibia mtu.
False accusation.
False accusation. And he was able to use that opportunity, ya false accusation, to become a leader in prison. He served so well mpaka akakuwa leader of the... Na kumbe hiyo ni training ya Mungu. Because the last time now alipopewa your platform, alipewa utajiri. Aliambiwa this is all Egypt. Be the ruler. Zile principles zote za jera na za Potiphar na za nyumbani ndizo alitumia kururu Egypt. If people see life like that, think about, imepatia very good summary. David aliapishwa, akaanointiwa akiwa mdogo. Bea kwanza ikamuattack. Unajua watu wanasemanga tu anataka bea. Have you ever seen a bea hata kwa YouTube mtu akiwa na bea?
Unajua watu wengi wanafikiria bea ni panya.
He was also attacked by a lion. That is very stressful. Then he faces Goliath. After that, Saul akaanza kumtafuta. Do you know how many years? Another 14. Anatoroka. Kushinda kwa caves. David became king at the age of 30. King of Judah, then king of Israel. Think about Moses. Watu wanasemanga ati nilirejectiwa. Moses was taken from a river. Akile one time I was in a children's home, nilikuwa nauliza, ni wangapi mlichukuliwa kutoka kwa mto? And there was nobody. Nikamwambia, then you are very fortunate. There was one leader, the one who led 2 million people, who was taken from a river. Hata nikauliza wengine, how many were born in a major? Mahali kuna mbuzi na nini. Yesu si alizaliwa hapo. Now you see, it is how people make life. Moses from there, hata akakuwa child of Pharaoh nini, akaingia wilderness ingine ya 40 years bwana, mpaka akasahau Mungu anaitana. Alipoona burning bush, Mungu anauliza Mungu, wewe umekuja usinisumbue. You know, Moses was bitter.
Yeah.
He was bitter.
Yes.
Hiyo bitterness, yeah. Unakuja kuniita saa hii na wakati nilikuwa kwa Pharaoh miaka 40 nikila Serelak na nikiwa leaders of slaves. Ungeniita hapo.
Yeah.
Were you late? You allowed me to come to the wilderness, nikae hapa na mifuko ya Jethro, nikapata bibi hapa, nikasahau hata Egypt. Sasa ndio unanionyesha kichaka. That is why alianza kuambia Mungu sitaki. How are you coming to... This is the expression of bitterness. So people need to allow to understand processes za Mungu na ukubali. Na zingine zinakujanga through a lot. The characters of David, 30 of them, of being a leader, all of them were refined through pressure. Hiyo mambo ya kukimbia kusauli, kwenda kwa makevu kulala. Imagine wewe unalala kwa makevu na wewe unaanointiwa kuwa the next king. That process was very important, that David became a worshipper when he became king. So even to our viewers, and if you are in that position, whether in university, kuna vitu unakubalianga tunasema hii Mungu may it work together for good. Let this pain end up to be gain.
Okay.
Wacha hii uchungu atakiwa ni ya kukosa pocket money ama ya abuse. Can I turn it to gain? Can it be a character in me? Can it create passion in me? Hata your rejection, Joseph had overcome it. Wakati brothers wake walikuja wakaanza kusema sorry, wakati alireveal, Joseph alisema hapana, usijali. Najua mnalia kwa sababu ya vile mlinifanya, lakini Mungu alioordain hivyo ili nije mbele yenu, ili niwasaidie. Hiyo ndio ilitoa uchungu kwa Joseph. If you don't see the bigger picture, you always see you are the one in a victim. Usually, when I was a pastor in Mombasa, somebody came to commit suicide hapo Nyali Bridge. Alikuwa ametoka Nyeri, akaniambia, before I commit suicide, I have decided to pass through here. Hiyo church ya Baxter niko hapo. Because it was next to Nyali Bridge. Akaanza sasa kusema nimeachwa nini, kamuuliza, lakini you are so blessed. Akasema nilisoma sijui kupata shule. Kamuuliza umesoma? Kuna mtu ambaye hajaenda shule. Akaniambia hata nikapata fare, nikamwambia hata kuna mtu angetaka kuja Mombasa angepata hiyo fare. Do you know that man? I think he gave me 7 excuses. I counted every one of them. He started crying and got saved. Na karudi. So people need to think reflections of life.
Asante sana. And I think that's a wonderful place to end it.
Yeah.
You said, if you look for evil in everything, you'll find it.
Yes.
Then what you've just said can be summarized at that if you look for good in everything, even in the worst case
scenario. I tell you the truth. The Bible says all things work together for good. All things. Yote, hata Yesu vile alipigwa, I was teaching about it in Easter. By the stripes of Jesus we are healed. Ile damu tunalianga tukiona kwa ile Passion of Christ. Akidungwa hivi damu inamwaga. Hiyo sasa ndio imeleta wokovu. So everything ukishaona in a godly way, you are going to see. Personally, I went through something. Personally, when I began ministry, and God started using, I was a lecturer. God started using me in miracles, signs and wonders. All of a sudden, some people mistook me, wakaanza kusema mimi ni devil worshipper, sijui naendanga makaburi. Kwa sababu ile miujiza ilikuwa inafuata. Things became rough for me. You know what I did? And I was a leader of church. I was given a home cell. I decided this time, let me take a break. I digested all that, lakini I never left even the church. I took a break. That is how this book was born. Some of them, 7 books, were born in that silent time. So sometimes even God will isolate you. See, Anna, John was put in the island of Patmos. That is why the book of Revelation was written. Paul, 2/3 of the New Testament, Paul, I think 9 scriptures, zinaitwa prison episodes. Aliandika kuwa jera. Yani ana use opportunity ya kuwa jera Today we have 2/3 of the New Testament.
Wow.
What other pain can you not turn to gain?
That's a beautiful lesson
Yeah.
for anyone going through a hard time.
Yes, yeah.
And thank you for sharing that with us.
Amen.
Alafu asante pia for sparing your time to come
Thank
share
you for the
your knowledge with
opportunity.
us. Kama unasikia kuna kitu Bishop Dr. Luke ameongelea na you'd like us to cover again, please tell us, let us know in the comment section. Alafu pia hapa kwa hii description ya hii video, we have a link to our other channel, the Green Media channel. A lot of good vibes there. We have so much to share with you. So pia unaweza kuwa una branch hapa, unaenda una watch good vibes, and then bado pia kuna backup left, right and center.
And also, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Karibu sana.
And those who would like personalized counseling, mentorship in business, we also offer that a lot, architectural work,
Okay.
Guidance and counseling and ministry. And we do it freely. We don't, as long as you come on the ministerial platform.
Okay.
We are located opposite Meteorological Department, behind Mercedes Center. Anytime, and even my number, I have no problem with my number, by the way, being given to people who like deliverance, healing, counseling, professional counseling, wanafunzi. I was also a career teacher. Okay. We also train students even now.
One of the conversations tunazoongelea ni careers. So
yes.
The number for which number do we use?
0722
738
142.
142.
Yeah, that comes directly to me.
142.
You can text if you cannot reach us, but we shall get back to you.
0722 738 142. Wiki tuweke hapa so that people can reach out to Bishop Dr. Luke Mwangi directly. You. Asante sana.
Najua tu kukuza anytime tutafanya siku ingine.
Yes.
Bible prophecy.
Lazima.